guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. And if you are returning, hey friend, how are you doing? So, it's getting late. I'm tired and I was trying to figure out how to do this screen mirroring thing between my iPad and my phone. And I've been working on that for about 15 minutes and it's just not working. So, it is what it is. We're just gonna move on. So in today's video, I'm going to show you all how I refill my inks. So I currently have an Epson 7720 printer that was converted into a sublimation printer. I got this printer before they got really hot on the market, and so I've been sublimating now for a few years. And I had been printing out some sublimation transfers for a customer, and I need to finish printing those and reprint a couple because I received an error message that one of my cartridges is out of ink. And so what that means is I need to refill that cartridge. So I kind of just want to take you through the process of what I do when I refill my sublimation cartridges. So I've already lifted the scanner, and there are some supplies that I use when I am refilling my inks. So one is gloves, because I don't want to get the ink on my hands or on my nails. I'm bougie like that. So I have my gloves on. I put my gloves on. And then I always use a plate because I just don't want to. I have this little small little saucer paper plate that I use because I don't want the ink getting all over my stuff. And then normally I have either paper towels, which I have today, so that the ink doesn't get on my cutting table, because what I've learned in the past is the ink gets on my cutting table. I clean my cutting table and I think I got it all up and I haven't, and then I press a hot white polyester garment down and that ink will transfer to that garment. That's what's happened to me before in the past. But in this case, I'm just gonna go ahead and get a piece of scrap paper. Not that piece. It's the order that I completed earlier. So I'm just going to grab a piece of scrap paper to put down on my table so that I can refill my inks. And I want to try to kind of stay close so you guys can kind of see what I am doing. Kind of turn. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and open my printer and pull out my cartridge. So this is it's the yellow, and as you can see, it is pretty empty. So sometimes the cartridges are not even all the way empty. It'll still have a little bit of ink in there, but it'll still register that it doesn't have any ink. And then what I do is I pull out this plug to put the ink in. Now I know a lot of people just use a syringe and put the ink in that hole. I don't do that because I feel like that's too messy. So I don't want to turn my back to you all. So let me just see if I can rearrange some things down here so you all can see what I'm doing. Let's see. There we go. Kind of like that. And let me see if I can bring my light down a little bit. Hopefully you can all kind of see what I'm doing. Okay, let me move my iPad. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab my paper and sit it underneath my little plate, and my light is like leaning with it, rocking with it. It's new, so bear with me. I'm using something I normally don't use, and I have my stand on top of all these books. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I probably should lower it, but I'm just going to shake my ink up. Okay, so sorry, kind of getting sidetracked and distracted a little bit, but I want you to be able to see what I'm doing. So I have my ink cartridge. I'm just going to go ahead and take the plug out so that we can start refilling the ink. Now, in the past, I've gotten ink from different, I don't know, different vendors, and there's one vendor I purchased ink from, and she has like a little nozzle on her bottle. So easy. You just literally put the thing on top and flip it upside down and refill it. This ink came from Cosmos, and he doesn't have that as an option. So, sorry, my husband is texting me, and I'm trying to see what I look like. Try to see what I'm doing because I can't get the mirroring thing working. So anywho, and as you see, I already have gloves in my basket because I just do this so often. But I'm gonna go ahead and open my ink so that's ready, and I'm gonna go ahead and take the plug out. I just use a weeding tool to kind of pop it out a little bit so I can then just pull it with my nails from there. And I'm going to take my syringe that I have here in my basket. I'm going to fill it with ink. And as you see, I have the cartridge on the plate because sometimes ink comes off of the bottom of the cartridge. And I'm just going to pop that here in the hole. Just like that. And then you'll see I'll just slowly start refilling the cartridge. Now, sometimes when I refill my inks, I will get a message that says, this is not a valid cartridge, or something to that effect. Now, I'm going to go ahead and grab my paper towel. I guess I use this one since it's in my basket. And I'm just going to dab that excess ink off the top because there was like a bubble. I'm going to pop my plug back in where it was. And then I'm just going to wipe across the top again. As you see, I have ink on the gloves, like all over the gloves, and that's why I wear gloves when I do this. I'm going to put my cap back on my ink, and I put it back in the basket. So in this basket, I typically keep gloves, the syringe in case I need to pull ink out for whatever reason, this little plate, and the syringe, and I always clean this out and just reuse it. Now, before I pop this back into the printer, one of the things that I like to do is I kind of like to clean my printer before I, oops, I popped it off the thing. One swipe and you're done. Okay, so back to what I was saying. So I like to wipe it off, kind of clean my printer off before I continue. And so try to get you in as close as I can. I kind of have a lot of stuff on my desk, so I've been rearranging things today. Tilt you down as much as I can. So I always get these makeup cotton swabs. Let's turn this light. These makeup cotton swabs is what I use to kind of clean the inside of my printer, and alcohol. Hopefully you can see that. Looks like the light is really glaring really bad. There we go. I don't think the percentage matters. Don't worry about that. That's just what I have because I used to do tumblers a lot. So there's this metal tray here on the inside. For whatever reason, my printer, I think one time I overflowed my black ink, and ever since then, it's like sometimes I get extra ink on this. So when I'm refilling my ink, sometimes I just come in here and clean this with a makeup swab and alcohol. And normally you can see that black ink just coming off. Let me turn this other light off. So I'm just gonna see how much of that black ink I can get off. Because I have noticed that sometimes it does come off on my prints. But it's normally not where I can't just cut it off and print. So now that we've got that done, as you see here, I just need to replace the yellow ink cartridge. And like, I'm almost out of black too. I'm shocked it hasn't given me an error on my black yet. But sometimes when you fill one, then it'll say, oh, this one needs to be filled. Oh, this one needs to be filled. Oh, this one needs to be filled too. But typically I just wait for it to tell me. I don't jump the gun because I don't want to throw my printer off. So now I'm just going to take the yellow cartridge and I'm just going to pop that back in, and make sure that you're putting your plug back in the correct hole for the cartridge. And I'm just going to close it. And then we're just going to let it cycle through and see what it says. And so normally it'll cycle through and it'll clear the error, or it'll give me another error on the actual printer. So in this case, my printer is letting me know that I have not installed, see if I can show you this error here. Oops. It's just not gonna let me be great. And I don't think you're gonna be able to see that. But pretty much what it says is that I have not installed genuine ink on in my printer, which is technically correct. There we go. I need to tighten that. Which is technically correct because I'm getting distracted. Because this is not Epson ink. It's not your market ink. This is ink from Cosmos. So that would technically be a true statement that I did not install. God, I can't believe this screw is like loose already. I normally have my husband put things together for me. I jumped the gun today. But anywho, it's accurate. It's not genuine ink. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and click OK to bypass that message. And then it's just gonna pretty much give me a message stating that the quality and the reliability of the ink cannot be guaranteed because it's an off-brand ink. And I'm gonna see if I can record too from my camera. Because maybe I can capture these messages for you guys, for you to see, and all won't be in vain. We will see. Let me get that, make sure I got it. And I am new at recording, so don't mind me. Oh, goodness gracious. Get out of the menu. I don't know what I just did. Okay. So that is the message. And I'm just going to go ahead and click proceed to bypass it. And then it's going to say continue using this ink, and I'm going to say yes. And then it says replacement complete. And then we are all done. I'm just going to go ahead and hit close on the firmware box. So now what happens is I don't know how I'm gonna edit all that in there, but we'll see. So now that that is done, I can go ahead and reprint my prints that I need to print for my customer, and I've already have them loaded up in Silhouette. Normally for my sublimation prints, yeah, let me grab from that end. Normally for my sublimation prints, I use Affinity to design my sublimation prints, and sometimes Silhouette. Mainly Silhouette. I'm getting a lot better at Affinity, but I don't use it as often. My business is kind of changing. I'm starting to do more sewing than I am anything else. Sewing and embroidery, so I'm not doing as much sublimation. I am still sublimating, so, but when it comes to designs, I'm just not doing like really any elaborate designs. Most of the times it's just something somebody asked me to do, something simple like words and a couple pictures, but it's not nothing extravagant. And I'm not a graphic designer anyway, by trade or by dream. So I'm just going to go ahead and print my sublimation prints. And what I didn't do last time I was in here is I did not mirror her prints. So I don't know. I thought I did. She asked me to create her some designs for a 15-ounce mug. Not necessarily create them, because for sublimation transfers, when you send me your artwork has to be already created and ready to print. I don't change any colors or anything like that. It has to be ready to go. So I'm going to see if I can capture my screen to kind of show you all how I print on my printer. But I got to try to first remember the software that I use. Because again, it's late and I'm getting tired. Can't you see? Look at my bangs. It's like they're just doing their own thing. But hey, that's okay. Let's see. What is the software that I use? And I'm looking at my, I want to say it's called Movie Maker. Don't make me lie. Yes, Movie Maker. Oh. I think it's what it's called. It's made by Microsoft. And so I'm going to see if I can capture my screen so I can kind of show you guys what I did. But I'm new at this, so bear with me. Okay, record screen. And I'm going to use sound from the microphone. Hopefully it won't be double duty. We'll see. Again, I'm new at this, but I made a promise, and that promise was for me to try to bring you guys more content in 2023 versus just like doing stuff, you know, the little saying they got on Instagram, everything is content, everything is content. Don't forget to film it. Don't forget to film it. I always forget to film it. Sometimes I'm just trying to just get through my to-do list so I can write tomorrow's to-do list. So, I was doing good. Like, I'm technically ahead on orders. I'm trying to get all my orders out for the week, and then, you know, jump back into trying to make samples and really build my Etsy shop, so I have a little bit of some of everything to offer different people. And I'm trying to create multiple Etsy shops and brand them in different ways to kind of see how that goes. That's just something new I'm trying. It's not there yet, but anywho, I kind of got sidetracked going back to the video. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to record my screen, what I'm doing, insert that into the video so you can hear me, and then we'll kind of just go from there. That's my printer that you hear just cycling out. It's just cycling the the ink through. So it does that from time to time. But I'm not printing or anything yet. So I'm going to go ahead and click sound for microphone because I just really don't know how this works, and I really should read the manual on this software. But some of my friends know one thing about me is I jump in head first. I don't read the instructions, and then we just figure it out as we go. And I think that's just the techie side of me. So I'm going to go ahead and click start recording on my laptop. It's asking me, can it access my microphone? I'm going to go ahead and say yes. And then it's asking me what screen I want to capture. So that is nice, because I do have multiple screens up, and it looks like it has me recording. So it says screen record failed. Please put the window you want to record on top. Also, if you are recording a video, make sure that the video is playing. So let me go ahead and bring that on top. And let me exit that out so it's clean. And we're going to try to do this again. Record screen, sound from the microphone, start recording. Select the screen and click OK. And it is now recording. I don't see, okay, looks like we got it going. I see a box around my screen, so I assume that it's recording. So what you see here is I started to put a design together. She went ahead and sent me her PNG file by email of what she wanted to have printed out for her design. She is very new to sublimation, doesn't know if she's going to like it or not, so she hasn't invested in a printer yet. She just wants to buy prints. So I told her I would be able to help her with that. I needed to ask her what size did she want for the prints, how many and how many sheets. I charge per sheet for my sublimation transfers, and she told me she was going to be putting some images on a 15-ounce mug. So I have these images measured out to fit a 15-ounce mug. I had to go ahead and mirror these images and kind of put them together. So right now what you see is there's a box, and I know a lot of people are not that familiar with silhouette. Most crafters, I wouldn't probably say most, some crafters use Cricut. They don't really use silhouette, so that's just what they're familiar with, and it's just easier, and that's kind of what I started out with. I started out with the Cricut, but I can use silhouette. There's a lot to silhouette. There's still a lot I'm learning. It just depends on what I'm working on. Some things I have a preference, I will go ahead and do those. Whatever I'm working on in Cricut, it just depends on how simple it is. If I know I'm working on something more complicated, I jump into silhouette. Normally, if I'm doing anything sublimation related, I'm in silhouette, and if I'm doing anything vinyl related, I'm in Cricut. I like Cricut's print and cut better than silhouette. I wish someone would take the two and merge them together. So if you know a software that does that, let me know. But as far as softwares go, I am familiar with Scale 5, Silhouette, Affinity Designer, and Cricut. I am not a photo user because I feel like I just don't do enough to pay a monthly subscription. To me, business is all about profit and bottom line, and so I'm trying to cut out what I really don't use. And since Affinity is a one-time fee, I went with that versus going to Photoshop. Maybe my mind will change later, but at this time, Affinity does what I needed to do. I've taken a couple courses, so I know how to get in there, finagle, and do what I need to do and get out. But anyway, going back to the design. So this box is your page, and what that means is if your design and what you see in this case is outside of this box, that means it's going to be cut off. So I need to go in and change my page in order to be able to get all three of these in the design. So in order to do that, you have to already be connected to the printer that you're going to print to. In my case, I'm printing to my Epson. And what that means is I needed to make sure I had all the drivers downloaded so that way the correct pages would come up when I'm ready to print. If you're not connected to the printer that you need to connect to, that you need to print to, and you need to figure out how to change it, you would just go to print, and Silhouette has changed. If you have the newer version and the updated version, and I am using the business edition, you're going to get a dialog box that's going to pop up like you're showing now, where it's going to kind of buffer the file, and then you're going to get another window that says print. So we're just going to wait for this to come up. For whatever reason, it's moving slow. It normally doesn't move this slow. And then we're going to go ahead and change our printer. I've already changed my printer. I changed my printer before I got on this video. But I'm just going to kind of walk you through on how to change it, so that way you'll see. So, as you see, the page just came up and it says print. Now you probably think, well, why does this one looks more golden, and then what you previously had all the red? The red is the cut lines. That's just how Silhouette does. So it's not going to print the red. It's going to print whatever color your design is. And again, this is a PNG. So what I'm going to do on this page is I'm just going to go ahead and click print. And then when you click print, your print dialog box is going to come up. And then you can just scroll over and select whatever printer that you want to select. I already have it selected to print to my 7720. So then I'm just going to hit cancel. And I'm going to hit cancel again to take me back into Silhouette, so I can get back into my canvas and do what it is that I need to do. So now that I have my canvas up, I'm going to go in and I'm going to click File, Print Page Setup. And this is going to allow me to change my page that, change the size of the page that I want to print on. Now you're probably thinking, well, Shamika, how you skipped some steps. I did. I skipped some steps. I went ahead and already added my image to Silhouette. But, okay, if you want to know how to upload your images into Silhouette, leave a comment below and I will be more than happy to show you. Tonight, I was just trying to show you how I put my inks in my printer and the precautions that I take and the reason why I take those precautions. But since I'm already up and I already got the video going, I might as well just go ahead and finish out the video and show you how I print my sublimation transfers. So now I'm going to go ahead and change my page for 8.5 by 11. Y'all, I do not have my glasses on and I'm tired. I can't see. So don't be looking at me crazy if you see me squinting. 8.5 by 11 to 11 by 17, and then I'm going to click OK. And what you're going to see is that brings out that box, that shell, and now all of my images fit in the shell. So, for a 15-ounce mug, I can get about three images on one page. And again, I've already mirrored it. So what we would need to do next is we would need to get ready to print. And that's the other thing too that you need to keep in mind. To use Silhouette is technically free. You don't have to have their software. Let me rephrase that. You can use their software for free, the basic version. And you can go in there and design and do whatever it is that you need to do. I remember when I first got it, I was able to like save and export out. You can't do that no more. You got to have the paid version in order to do that. But you can go in and design stuff and print it out if you're trying to sublimate, but you don't want to invest in Photoshop and you don't want to invest in Infinity Photo. You can use Silhouette software. A lot of people use it. I just went ahead and bought the cutter. It was on sale. It's pink. Most of it, as you see, there's a lot of pink in my room. I am adding more pink. Pink and purple to be exact. But I just went ahead and bought it because it was pink. And I have a friend that uses it and she loves it to death. But she does have issues with it. And I think that's where any cutter, you're going to find pros and cons that you like and, you know, stuff that you like and that you don't like. And so I convinced her to get a Cricut because she always struggled with her print and cut on Silhouette. And I never do on Cricut other than you're limited to the size. And so she bought a Cricut. And so now we both have Cricuts and Silhouettes. But anywho, going back to the design. So as you see here, it all fits on this 11 by 17 piece of paper. This right here was just the template that I used to make sure that the image was going to be the size that I needed it to be. Since it's not on this white page, it's not going to print it. I've already mirrored it, so only thing I need to do now is click File and Print. I don't have to go to send. If I want to go to send will be sending it to the cutter. So I don't have to do that. We're just going to go over here and click File and Print. Like I told you earlier, it's going to buffer, and while it's buffering, I'm going to go ahead and grab my paper for the print. I'm going to need to print 2 pages. And normally when I put paper in my printer, I only do 1 page at a time. Because Silhouette has, sometimes it'll just suck in more than 1 sheet. I don't know why, it just does. And for sublimation, you always want to make sure I'm using A-Sub sublimation paper. You always want to make sure that A-Sub is facing up. There are some sublimation papers that you can buy, and there's nothing on the back. You can't tell the back from the front. So I normally just buy A-Sub because I don't have time to be trying to figure that stuff out. Okay. Now you see my design has came up. I'm going to go ahead and click print. And when we click print, it's going to bring us to our dialog box. So I'm going to click preferences, because that's what I always do before I print. And what you're going to realize is people do different things when they print and they're dealing with sublimation. You just have to figure out what's going to work for you and your business. So for me, I leave my paper type on plain paper. Some people use premium presentation mat. I started out doing that at first, but I don't anymore. I just use plain paper. Okay. Then I navigate over to the More Options tab. And where it says color correction, I change that to custom and click advance. And I always change my color mode to Adobe RGB and click OK. Some people changes the gamma. I never had to do that. And then where it says high speed, I go ahead and turn high speed off. Now there is a button here where you can click mirror the image. I had already mirrored the image before I started this video, and then I was like, oh, let me record it. It's a video. But I'm just going to go ahead and uncheck high speed, click OK, and then click apply. And once you click print from the print dialog box, that's what's going to send it to your printer. So technically you got to hit print 3 times. Print to open up Silhouette's print box. Print again to open up the dialog box for your printer. And then print when you're actually ready to send. So I'm going to go ahead and hit print. You're going to hear my printer click on, and then you're going to hear it start to print. Now, one thing about Silhouette is once it's done printing, it shoots that paper out quick. So I'm going to see if I can turn. Yeah. Turn you guys so that you can see. Right now, it's still buffering, and I'm showing that on my screen. Before it starts printing, and then you will see it kick on, and then it'll start to print. So that's just going to take a few minutes. And so while we wait for that to print, I guess I can just go ahead to kind of just deaden, so we don't have dead space. Kind of tell you some other things about the 7720. One thing about dealing with a converted printer is there may be times where you may have to troubleshoot it. And I'm in a sublimation group, and the owner of the group posted a question the other day. He said, what do you like about sublimation and what do you dislike? And the things that I like about sublimation is the creativity and the flexibility that comes with it. I think that sometimes people don't realize there's a whole lot that you can do with sublimation. I feel like they're getting more creative and blanks, and there's a there's a lot more blanks on the market that you can use that's polyester. but you are also limited because you can only use polyester blanks or certain substrates that are made for sublimation. But if you think about it, big picture, business wise, it's a quick buck. Literally everything that I've subbed, I'm never subbing anything over 60 seconds. Oh, I forgot to tell you too. Once you hit print on the dialog box, you have to hit print. Do I need to hit print again? No, I don't. It's just loading. It's just taking forever. But anywho, it's a quick buck because you only have to sublimate something max. I've seen it's like 60 seconds. I have never had to sublimate anything over 60 seconds. Most of the time, the things that I purchase and that I use as substrates, I can sublimate it in 45 seconds. So it's literally like design, print, press, done. You will spend more time designing and going back and forth with your customer on tweaks and modifications for mock-ups than printing and pressing the image, if anything. And I think that's where sometimes it comes to, you know, finding and knowing your ideal customer. Because who wants to go back and forth on a design for something? You know, it'll be different. You know, sometimes it's just, you have to just think about if the juice is going to be worth the squeeze. Like, do I really want to spend 3 days and 2 hours a day going back and forth with a customer for just a pair of socks and one shirt? Is that going to be worth it? Or, is that really going to be worth it? Or should I just move forward and, you know, design shirts that are going to be, you know, I may have to go back and forth, but it's an order of 20 shirts, or 25 shirts, or 50 shirts. And so that was one of the things that I implemented in my business this year. If you're not like a customer of mine that comes to me all the time for your items, I just hear from you every blue moon, and I know that you shop around with other places, which is fine. You have the right to spend your money where you want to spend your money and with who you want to spend your money with. Just know that I'm not doing any orders for less than 5 shirts. And I decided that because sometimes I have orders in queue that I've received off Etsy, and for me to spend 45 minutes to an hour working on a design for you, going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, sometimes it's just not worth the headache. Sometimes people come up with these crazy visions in their mind, and it's just hard to bring it to fruition. And again, like I said before, I'm not a graphic designer, so I mean, I could take bits and pieces and put it together for you, but if you want this elaborate piece of art, like, most likely I'm not going to be able to provide that service for you. So that's just something that I implemented in my business, because I have to figure out a way to manage my time wisely. Like, if I'm selling a sublimation shirt for $20, $22, because now the market is kind of saturated. There's a lot of people that has jumped into sublimation. So unless you got a strong, finally it's about to print. So unless you have a really, really strong design game, is it worth $20 for me to spend 3 hours with you a day for one shirt, when I could have knocked out, I don't know, how many pairs of anklets or tutus within that time frame? You get what I mean? And so that's just kind of my thought process. So as you see, going back to, it's now printing, and I'm going to go ahead and end my recording on my laptop. So the printer is now recording, not recording. The printer is now printing, and so we'll be able to see the design in a few minutes once it comes out. It is kind of slow. I would say like really, really slow, not like DTF slow. But it's, you know, It's just a few minutes for it to kind of print. But if you're pressing a lot of shirts, I have also noticed that it doesn't take as long as I thought it would take. So this video is getting too long. I'm not going to be able to. Well, maybe I can. We'll see if I'll be able to edit it. It's taking longer than I thought. So right now the data light is flashing blue and my power light is flashing blue, so that means these are good. So we're gonna just knock on wood and cross our fingers, and hopefully it doesn't say I'm out of ink, out of another color ink, because sometimes it will do that. It'll print like halfway and then be like ding 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 out of black ink. So hopefully we can go ahead and print these two sublimation transfers, and then I can cut those up, and then I can put them on the counter for my husband to ship out in the morning. My husband is so sweet. He handles all my shipping, so all I have to do is focus on the end product, and then he takes it from there. I do make it a little easy for him, so I do have the packing slip. He checks behind me to make sure the order is as it should be, and then I'll go ahead and print out the shipping label for him and write out the thank you notes. But if I do forget to write a thank you note, he will write a thank you note on our behalf. And for anyone that has ever purchased from our shop, we really appreciate your business. It just really helps and motivates someone to put more into their business when they can, you know, receive reviews from you all. So if anyone has ever purchased from my family, from my shop, we really do appreciate that a whole lot. So we are still waiting, and I wonder if anybody has a sawgrass. Put it down in the comments if it takes your sawgrass this long to print, because I'm gonna tell you, before DTF really got hot, I was looking at DTF, and I don't know if I ever stated in any of my interviews, but I'm an analyst by day, and I was like, I normally, that's what I do. I work on software issues, and I'm like, that technology, it needs a little bit more work before I'm ready to purchase. It just wasn't. People were buying the DTF printers from China. There was no customer service behind those printers to get support for those printers, and I just wasn't ready to jump in the market at that time. But I had always said, knock on wood, if something ever happened to my 7720, it's finally pulling in the paper. If something ever happens to my 7720, will I just purchase a sawgrass? Because you don't have to worry about, excuse me, you don't have to worry about the errors. You know, it's saying that it's not genuine ink, and you know, filling the ink cartridges and things like that. And I know some people get a SIS system on their sublimation, and I didn't want to do that either. So this is the image, and as you see, it didn't print any of the red. I did get a little black ink up there at the top. Remember how I was talking about sometimes I get that on my prints? So I'm just gonna cut that off when I cut it, and I'm gonna go ahead and print the second image, because it should be fast now since it's done all that cycling, whatever it's gonna do. So I'm just gonna go in and hit print again really quick. But I was just always curious if it takes a sawgrass as long to print as it takes me to print on my 7720. But when me and my friend was discussing the next tool that we would buy next, I kind of just decided and determined if my printer did go out, God forbid, I would just get the bigger Epson. Not the desktop, the one that kind of sits on its own stand. So that way I can do bigger images. I think it's the 24-inch wide. And I'll be able to do, let me slide this down. down a little bit. I'll be able to do bigger images and maybe attempt to try to do all over shirts. All over shirts has never been a thing for me, but I have had people ask me, do I do them, and I don't. I just don't want to be taping sheets of paper together. But I just wonder if it actually prints as slow. And if people like it. I know a lot of people say what they do is they buy the sawgrass and then they use the market, the sawgrass ink up until their warranty is up. And then once their warranty is up, they'll jump to the, off the market ink because the ink for the sawgrass is so expensive. So if anybody has the sawgrass, I would definitely like to know what you've experienced below. I'm just curious. Would you buy another one? I know that there's additional expenses. Like, I've done my research to buy patch tray and all that. But my understanding is a lot of people do like their sawgrasses. So I was just curious. I mean, like I said before, I've been sublimating for a while. So when I jumped in the game, I only paid $200 for my printer. And best believe, I've definitely made my money back 10 times over on this printer. I've had it for years. You can get one shirt order and make over $200. So I was one of the lucky ones. But, I did have a learning curve with designing. And that was one of the things my friend and myself figured out, is that we had to really dig deep and learn how to design in order to make ourselves more marketable when it came to shirts. And so that part of the business was tough, but I've definitely have gotten better and have improved my skills over the years with designing versus just going on Etsy and buying a ready-made PNG. I can take different elements and put them together and create something that my customer would like. But I feel like this video is getting a little bit long. I hope you all enjoyed my content. In today's video, kind of just recapping what we did. We went over how I replenished my inks in my converted Epson 7720 printer. I showed you all how I print and what settings I use when I print my sublimation transfers from my printer. Again, I was using a sub 11 by 17 paper, and I'm gonna go ahead and get these cut up so I can put them on the counter so that my husband can do the shipping for me tomorrow while I'm waiting for the second image to print. If you enjoy this content and you would like to see more, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. If you feel like it was helpful to you and it may be helpful to one of your crafting buddies, feel free to share this video. Sharing is caring, and I will see you guys next time. I'm gonna try to at least upload once a week, maybe even more depending on the flow of my orders. Right now it's kind of slow for me because we only have basketball and it's only one day a week outside of games. So hopefully I'll see you guys soon. Have a good night.